Ever since starting Digibro versus everybody, I've decided to take a zero tolerance policy towards people making bullshit videos about me. I'm just gonna respond and let you know what I think. So, Turkey Tom, I'd never heard of him. He's a guy, he's got like 17k subs, getting a lot of views on a video he posted like an hour ago about me. That is fucking hilarious, because in this video, he just spews a bunch of weird, half-formed information about me, and then, like, at the end is like, go do your own research, guys. And I'm like, why didn't you do any research in the fucking first place? Yeah, I think he just kind of went on Kiwi Farms and based his assessment on whatever he saw there, which is the reason I'm the most excited to respond to this, because this video used a certain piece of information that's been going around a lot about a guy who stayed at my house for a while and has this horror story of me being this ultimate cringe lord, and I'm going to tell you all who this guy is. You see, up until recently, I've been trying to, as much as it seems like I respond to all the drama surrounding me, I really haven't been, and it's because for a long time I thought if I ignored the worst people who had it out for me, eventually they'd go away. And recently I learned that's never going to happen. The people who are really, you know, out for me, they're not just going to disappear. They have to be talked about and dealt with. So let's talk about Vida, the guy who was at my house for a week. Vida is a kid who I met in 2013, back when I was a brony analysis guy, because me and Tom, who now lives with me, by the way, Tommy in this video goes on about how he doesn't, like, he thinks my plan to move the PCP all into one place is, like, some insanely, like out of my depth idea that is so crazy, and I'm manipulating the other members of the PCP. Never mind that half of them are older and smarter than me, and I am not the ringleader by any stretch. If anything, I'm like the absentee member who doesn't show up to any meetings or plan anything. By the way, Tom lives with me, Ben's in town, Nate's from here. It's already happening, and that's for another time. But this post is from Vida. Vida, when Tom and I were back in the brony days, our channels both took off really fast, and then YouTube started implementing much harsher content ID restrictions. So a lot of our videos got taken down or disabled for monetization. So we were trying to scramble to figure out what to do about it, because Patreon was not a thing we had found out about yet. We would find it like 2 months later. But we originally were planning to make a Kickstarter. And when we were planning this guy, Vida, who is basically a dick rider, he just got the contact information of, like, every famous person in the brony community. That was his mission. Especially people in the analysis community that I sort of formed in that group. You know, people who know will know the story. This guy obviously didn't do any fucking research, so he doesn't know shit. But Vida was collecting all this information, contacts from people within the community, and he approached me saying that he was a business student who, like, knew things about, I guess, running a Kickstarter. So we showed him our working document, and he left a few comments on it that were totally nonsensical and unhelpful, and we were like, okay, well, this kid is clearly, like, by business student, by the way, he was not actually in school. He was planning to become a business student. He was working in a movie theater. So Vida decides that basically he wants to befriend Tom and I through giving us money. So he had made some donations to us, and he wanted to meet us at BronyCon 2013. He did. He took us out to Five Guys and bought us some food. He wanted to take us to, like, a hibachi grill, because Tom had never been to one. Couldn't actually get there or afford it. So he took us to a Five Guys, and he seemed like a nice kid who just wanted to help financially. A bit of a memer, bit of a 4channer, but hey, I'm a bit of a memer and a bit of a 4channer, so I'm okay with that. So this kid starts talking to me on Skype. I mean, everybody did at the time. Everyone was on Skype back then, especially in the brony community. I had like 300 fucking contacts, kids who all wanted my attention all the time, and Vida was one of them. And so he would listen to my show, The Pub Crawl, which was a radio show, not my show, my friend Cider's show that I am the co-host of, but it was listed as one of my channels in this guy's video. It used to be a radio show, an internet radio show with only like 30 listeners that we did for fun to get drunk on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 to 4 a.m. So, long show in the dead of night, mostly about weird porn and shit. Vida would listen into this show and come into the chat and communicate through that. So I knew him a little better than most of my other fans. Now, I also was dating a girl at the time who, for whatever reason, would just toss Vida into calls with us because she thought it was funny. I thought it was annoying as shit, but she would do that, and so I ended up talking to him a little bit more that way as well. Now, Vida was somebody who involved himself in lots of communities online. He would participate in lots of like YouTube channels, 4chan. He was part of something called Pony News, which was a site, like a pony news site, basically like a Kiwi Farms-esque drama cataloging website, specifically for the pony fandom. He wrote some articles about me on there, of course, after a certain point. So what happened was, over Christmas week, he begged me to come stay at my house because he was complaining about how his life was such shit. That his parents were, like, you know, his dad was, like, on some kind of disability. He had, like, had a stroke or something. I don't know. His life was not that great, and he really wanted to come hang out with me for Christmas. He lived in North Carolina. I lived in Virginia. I figured, what the hell, he can come on up. By the way, whatever address he posted, I obviously don't live there anymore since I've moved twice. So anyways, Vida came up to my house, and my expectation was that through hanging out with my family and friends, he would get some social interaction. It's really funny to me that he called me the most socially awkward person he'd ever met, because he is by far the most socially awkward person I ever met. This guy came to my house and sat in my room for a week. He did not want to do anything with anyone. This whole week, my friends were around the whole time. I'm so socially awkward that my friends were over for most of an entire week. About 6 or 7 people regularly coming over to hang out with me. We would want to go out to, let's say, go to IHOP. Vida, you want to come with us to IHOP? No, I want to sit here on Skype. So he would sit there on Skype and talk to his friends who he talks to every day while at my house. And all he would eat was crackers, like cheese and crackers. He was super, super skinny, like emaciated, but wouldn't eat like real food even when offered to him. Now, Vida is someone who has a psychological condition called ODD, and he takes medication for it. Except that when he takes the medication, he becomes a fairly reasonable, normal person, and when he doesn't, he flies off the handle and goes into like a total manic, crazy mode, where he is just wants to... First of all, he spent a lot of time begging me to fuck him while he was at my house. He spent a lot of time, like, just talking to my ex-girlfriend on Skype, and, like, I don't know, I feel like she probably, like, got him to do weird shit for her. It didn't tell me, because she was also weird, but, you know, whatever. I'm not gonna fucking shit on her. He at one point masturbated using my chair, not my personal chair, but a chair in my room, because Vida only masturbates by rubbing his dick on a chair. That is the only way that he masturbates. So, he masturbated using my chair, which I then comically threw out the window. He wouldn't talk to any of my friends until he was on his, like, manic side, because on the last couple days before he was going to have to leave, he really didn't want to leave, and he felt really lonely and estranged, so he stopped taking his meds and flew off the handle. He was super obnoxious, basically made every single one of my friends pissed off at him. There was one point where me and a good friend who is in the army and is only around once every couple of years was in town for this Christmas, and so I wanted to go for a walk with him, and I invited Vida to come along. 2-mile walk. Within 5 minutes, Vida was complaining about how much his leg hurt, and he wouldn't stop complaining the whole goddamn walk while me and my friend are trying to have a conversation. Basically what I'm saying is this kid's a fucking mess. And now granted, the things he said about being in my room are true. Of course I have hug pillows around. You all know that. That's nothing to be embarrassed about, because nobody gives a shit. This Tommy, Turkey Tom, is that his name? Sure. Turkey Tom guy sounds like a fucking 12-year-old. The lack of worldliness or understanding of, like, what it means to just be yourself and be, like, a human being. This guy has, like, it's like he thinks he has to be... I don't know what he thinks he has to be. Who does he think he is? Like, to call what I do cringy when what he does is the definition of cringe. Like, making YouTube videos about YouTubers on YouTube? Man, like, this is an entire industry of cringe. You can't do this and cast judgment on others. There is no, like, moral hierarchy of cringe on this, in this spectrum. Like, you merely adopted the cringe. I was born in it. I don't know, what do I need to say? You better start believing in cringe stories. You're in one. Like, so anyways, Vida was at my house. He missed his, like, so I wanted him gone by the end of this week because he was pissing off all my friends. I remember my friend Trevor, who was in town at the time, and some of you may remember him from old Digi and Friends videos. Trevor was, like, also only in town for, like, this week, and when he was taking off, he, like, tried to shake Vita's hand and was telling him, like, yeah, here, let me give you a handshake, you fucking weirdo. And, like, Vida just, like, put trash in his hand, and he was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And that was, like, the last thing my friend said before going back home to Florida. So yeah, Vida was just a total fucking spaz the whole time he was there. And, I took him to the bus stop, but he misinterpreted how the bus schedule worked, and therefore missed the bus, had to stay at my house an extra night, had to pay for a second bus ticket in order to get home. So he goes home. Now, in this period of time, there was an SJW Tumblr blogger who was attacking this My Little Pony, not pornographic webcomic, but like a very dirty adult comedy site called Ask Princess Molestia, which I also had a video analyzing. Because I'm an adult who realizes that all art is art. It's not real. None of it has any consequences to real life. This guy fixates a lot on the whole lolly equals pedophilia thing, which any sensible person knows is horseshit. So I don't even feel the need to argue about that, because I've already got shitloads of videos arguing the point about anime sex, and if this guy had even watched any of those, he probably would have already changed his mind, since he seems like just a young-ass fuck who doesn't know shit and just needs to be educated a little bit. Though it did seem like he watched a significant number of my videos, at least for clips. I don't know if he just didn't watch them and just collected clips. He actually made my stuff look, like, more exciting than it is, because he kept showing, like, movement clips and, like, me doing things, and I was like, you're not really selling that my videos are boring. Anyway, so, so this guy... fuck, I fucking got lost in my own story. Right, Vida, he missed the bus, stayed an extra night. This Princess Molestia thing's going on. My video gets taken down, and the Tumblr blog gets taken down. So Vida takes it upon himself to just start, like, ruthlessly attacking this girl on 4chan and trying to dox her. He's, like, trying to release her information, and, like, he's just so offended at this, like, affront to free speech, I guess, which, by the way... Don't blame her for this getting taken down. Blame Tumblr, because this girl just complained to Tumblr that she was offended about this website and made a big stink about it, and Tumblr took it down, in spite of the fact that Tumblr is home to countless fetish porn blogs. Like, Tumblr has ass tons of porn on it. They had no reason to take this one down other than that there was public outcry. That's Tumblr. That is not this girl at all. You know? People complain about shit all the time. That doesn't fucking matter. It's up to the corporations to be responsible. So, Vita's going out attacking this girl in a very public way, and he doxed her address. I see this address on 4chan, and I realize she lives in my town. She's a 17-year-old girl. I'm not okay with this. Because I'm like, this is a fucking child. Like, this is a minor who you're, like, trying to incite violence against, who lives in my city. I felt this strong sense of community after finding this out and was like, I need to stop talking to this kid because the things he's doing are dangerous and wrong. Meanwhile, around the same time, like right after he had left my house, he's back at home, and apparently there's some incident where his brother came home with groceries and like threw a can at Vita's head, and Vida fucking lost his shit, destroyed everything in his room, barricaded himself, was threatening to cut himself, ran out the window, is chased by police, eventually gets arrested and brought to a hospital where he lies to the doctors that he's fine so that he won't get put back in the psych ward. Now, granted, a psych ward's a terrible place. I don't blame him for not wanting to go back, especially if he'd been there before. But this kid, you understand why I didn't want to talk to him anymore, why I thought maybe this is a dangerous person who I shouldn't be speaking to. So I've been trying to ignore and avoid him over the years, but now that this thing keeps coming up that he said, and by the way, also tied to this, Tommy apparently, or Tom, whatever, Turkey Tom didn't find this detail, but other people have been bringing this up, that Vida contacted my cousin, Evan, who is severely autistic, and basically his entire understanding of the world is Encyclopedia Dramatica. Now, when I recently, back in, March, had a run-in where on Twitter, because of the fact that I was defending illustrated pornography in the face of Patreon trying to shut it down, because A, it is not a moral crime in any way, because it's fucking illustrations! Grow up! And watch my videos on it again. The Digibro versus Everybody episode 4 has literally an hour-long segment of us just, like, finding the line on that subject. It's pretty entertaining. Anyways, when I got into some hot water on that with some weird clique of, like, SJW bees people who have bees in their name, led by a meme lord named Barack Obama, who attacks people in order to promote his Twitch stream. I talked about that as well somewhere. When this all happened, Evan found out about it and started talking shit about me on the internet. And people were like, oh, his own cousin hates him. Yeah, my own cousin, who also was kicked out of my room for masturbating in my room by sitting under a blanket and jacking off and giggling for like an hour, thinking, I guess, that we didn't know. By the way, I was sharing my room with another cousin, an older cousin, who's, you know, fairly normal. And we were just like, this kid needs to fucking get out of here. I mean, Evan's just a kid who sits around and who, you know, he lived with me for like a few weeks because his aunt was, you know, my aunt rather, was falling on hard times. So they lived with us, and he would just sit around in the middle of the house insistently reading us Doug fanfics and fucking Encyclopedia Dramatica articles and attempting to play the Lion King theme on a keyboard badly at max volume for hours every day. Look, I don't begrudge him for being autistic. I begrudge him for being a fucking asshole. Not his fault. Wasn't raised right. Can't be helped. It's the world we live in. But if you're gonna come at me, motherfucker, you better be ready to get come back at. I don't give a fuck if you're family, if you're gonna come at me. So these are the two people whose conversation is going all over the internet, and I just think it's really fucking funny that it's like the two guys who I have the most beef on in the world, and people are like reposting their little talk about how I'm a creeper because my bathroom's gross. Like, I'm a fucking dude. All of our bathrooms are gross. Granted, my bathroom was quite disgusting, but, you know, well, who gives a shit? I'm healthy, aren't I? So, what else was there in the video? Is there anything else I should respond to? His video is so fucking long and so verbose with so little... Oh yeah, he was sucking monkeys' dick. Oh, I love when he called Y-Kick's videos very factual. Like, first of all, Y-Kick himself has defended his videos by calling them parody. Like, he's disguised the fact that they are so infactual by saying that they are intended as parody. So, yeah, it's super fucking factual, apparently. What else is there? I mean... And he also frames it, this is an important detail, and for some reason it gets framed this way a lot, that Jesse had somehow given us an ultimatum that he would come back if Mumkey was kicked. That never happened. I gave an ultimatum. I asked Jesse, if Mumkey was gone, would you be more comfortable coming back? Jesse did not even... He in no point endorsed the idea of Mumkey getting kicked. That was never his idea, and he had nothing to do with it. It was my idea, because I was getting sick of Mumkey associating himself with these people, and I thought it was going to negatively impact my career and the career of the PCP. And I was right. It would have done that. And I mean, it did negatively impact us for me to create drama the way I did, because obviously I didn't approach the fucking thing very well. I can admit to that. Apparently, according to this guy, I don't take any criticism, even though I have literally an entire show dedicated to accepting criticism now. Digibro versus everybody. You're free to come on, Turkey Tom, and try to state your case. You will get killed, though, because I'm good. And you're total shit, and, seemingly 12. But, anyway, yeah, like, I don't know why you've decided to throw your hat in with just trusting Mumkey just because you like his content, because that's such a good reason to trust anyone. Is there anything else? That's it. I just wanted to get out that whole piece on Vida because I keep seeing that clip floating around, and it's time for me to finally just fucking come at him, bro, because, you know, I'm fucking sick of his shit.